Democratic Congressman Dennis Kucinich says he's been invited by Gaddafi and the rebels, both sides, to help stop the fighting, and he says he has a solution, and he's our guest now. So, Congressman, you've been invited by both sides, you say. Why didn't you go?
Well, first of all, it's a little bit problematic going to meetings where bombs are dropping everywhere. I have supported the African Union approach towards trying to resolve the conflict, and also came up with my own plan. As a result of my involvement and also challenging the war in the Congress, I've been contacted by people who have ties to both sides, and there are people on both sides who want this resolved without further bloodshed.
When's the last time you heard from either side?
Oh, recently. I mean, this is a constant contact, and I would say that unfortunately, this continued prosecution of the war by NATO does not serve the people of Libya. And we're seeing even more intense bloodshed right now. This whole thing in Libya has been done wrong. We should have never intervened in a civil war to begin with, and we should have never chosen sides. The people of Libya have a right to self-determination, but I feel that what the United States and NATO has done is go opposite in that direction, and it's as if we don't have enough things to worry about here at home.
I'd like to talk a little bit more about the details of the plan that you devised to resolve this issue in just a moment, but since you say that you've been in constant contact with both sides, I'm curious if you have any indication where Gaddafi is right now.
No, I don't have any idea. I mean, there's no way that I'd know that, and I'm not privy to his movements.
So what's the plan? What do you think is the best? If you were able to go in and present the plan, what would it be?
You have to have a ceasefire, first of all. That's number one. And the rebels at this point are the ones who can direct that. Before it was the people on Gaddafi's side. But we have to have a ceasefire. NATO has to stop bombing. You have to enable people from both sides to come together to put together a coalition government. Otherwise, you're going to be looking at conflict that will be, for the distant future. The next thing we need to do is to work for a constitution for Libya. Now, actually, there was a constitution about to be brought forward in March. When the fighting started and the bombing started, those plans were set back.
Would you be for inviting Gaddafi's family, whether it's him or whether his sons, into that process?
Well, the people who have been involved with the regime include at least a couple people who are very close to Gaddafi as family members. Now, it's not for me to choose who would be the interlocutors who would talk to each other. But as a member of Congress, seeing my own country involved in a war that is unnecessary for America to be involved in, once again, we're picking a nation, trying to tell them how they should govern, trying to tell them who their leaders should be. That's a dead end for the United States, and I'm saying it's time that we stop these kind of wars. It only leads to more problems for America, more expense, money we can't afford, money we should be spending creating jobs here at home. And so I'm very adamant about trying to come up with a nonviolent solution, a peaceful solution to this conflict that involves bringing both parties together and letting Libya handle its own affairs.
You say unnecessary but also illegal, according to what the administration has done as far as moving forward with this war. What is the state of the lawsuit that you have against the administration for moving forward without congressional approval?
The administration filed an answer to our lawsuit. They said essentially that Congress doesn't have any standing to sue over this. We take issue with it because the Constitution makes it very clear under Article 1, Section 8, that the Congress, and Congress alone, has the power to take the country to war. And if we let this situation in Libya be a model for what's about to happen, we're looking at a new interventionism at greater cost.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that. I only have a minute here. I want to just share with you what the President just said about Libya in Minneapolis, speaking to a group of veterans about our military triumphs. Let's take a listen to what the President had to say.
Indeed, despite 10 years of continuous war, it must be said, America's military is the best that it's ever been. We saw that most recently in the skill and precision of our brave forces who helped the Libyan people finally break free from the grip of Muammar Gaddafi.
Your reaction?
Well, we always support our troops, but it has to be said that Libya spends about $1.5 billion a year for their military. The United States spends close to $700 billion. Was there ever going to be a different outcome? I mean, we have a population that's 50 times the size of Libya. Most people don't know Libya is only 6 million people. So the question of whether the United States could conquer Libya has never been a question. That's not the question. The question is, why should we be doing it? And the president's never answered that to anyone's satisfaction.
Congressman Kucinich, nice to have you today. We'll continue to have this conversation as yet the complete resolution in Libya still seems not finite at this time. We have a lot more to the story yet to come, sir, and we look forward to having you back on again.
Thank you very much.
Well.